What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a quick Destiny 2 news update. And we are in a quiet spell as we approach Solstice for the year, but today we'll touch on some changes you may have missed for the Iron Banner, as well as some of the changes that we're going to see in the July update coming next week. And then we have a couple of minor updates from Bungie on issues this season. And we're going to discuss some lore on Darkness elements, the possibility of a couple of teasers linked to the upcoming new Darkness subclasses. Then there's conversation around Bungie's goal of supporting the Destiny universe for decades to come, and a few other things in the video. But before we get into it guys, this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, the epic free mobile game which is available to play for everyone right now on mobile and PC. Raid features global PvP, huge boss fights, and hundreds of champions to play, with unique factions, lore, and upgrades. And outside of featuring more than 600 epic champions, one of the coolest things about Raid are its epic bosses, and a personal favourite of mine is the Hellraiser, dragon from the Dragon's Lair dungeon, who's super badass. They have a skill where they can breathe fire, as well as bad breath at us. However, this creates vulnerabilities in Dragon's health, and if we can stun him during his attack, we'll do some serious damage, but missing the stun will increase the damage of Dragon's next attack. Plus, he can also apply attack and poison debuffs to our team, so he's tricky, but with champions who can clear debuffs and place shields, we can still give him a hard time. Raid has tons more content to check out though, including events and updates, and this month 5 awesome new champions will be added, and throughout July there'll be summer splash events featuring epic new champion skins. And for players who sign in for 7 days between now and July 28th, there's a Deliana Chase event where we can unlock a champion called Deliana for free, and new players can also use code MyDeliana in game to unlock 50 XP brews, which allows us to max out the champion. And so if you want a huge head start, be sure to scan the QR code on screen or follow the link in the description below, as new players will get a free starter pack worth almost $30, and that includes a free champion called Tayrol, as well as a bunch of other awesome loot, and these will appear in your in-game inbox for the next 30 days. So to get the download, hit the link below, and thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring the video. Now though, as we get in and talk about Destiny stuff, initially the Iron Banner is live this week, and there are just a couple of changes since the last event which I'd completely forgotten about, and one of them in game is that Bungie have added a 3-point lead mercy rule to Iron Banner, so it is possible to trigger that mercy rule if an enemy team is absolutely dominating. However, players are still discussing the reputation gains and how slow they are, so some things haven't particularly changed, but there were some fixed issues in a previous update, one where the heaviest death emblem wasn't contributing towards the reputation rank boost when equipped. Other fixes to the Forging Iron quest, and daily challenge rank boost increments. And then for Rift, they fixed a problem where dunking the spark with no time left on the round timer could trigger an infinite transmat loop, and another where the spark would disappear for the remainder of the match if a player that picks it up dies at the same time. So just a couple of things to be aware of right there with the Iron Banner. Let us know if you've been jumping in this week and any experiences you've had. It will be interesting to see any other changes that Bungie have for future seasons, including to the Rift game mode, or whether they rotate to a different game mode again. So share your thoughts down below. Also early this week, Stompies have been trending on Twitter with a lot of conversation about the use rate for the exotic. Some folks say that they're used too much and they need a nerf. Others say they will probably get a nerf, but they shouldn't, especially with how they interact with aerial effectiveness at the moment. And then others feel that Omnioculus or Wormhusk is stronger. So let us know what you think. It is clear that most of the highly used exotics seem to be about movement or handling in some way, which is probably better in most cases than OP ability spam based exotics. Either way, a lot of folks are talking about them again, so share your thoughts in the comment section. But bear in mind, next week we are going to see a sandbox update alongside Solstice, and as well as a bunch of adjustments to weapons. Bungie are reducing the airborne penalties for all primary weapons, and so that penalty will be adjusted by 20 to 40% depending on weapon type. For auto rifles, pulse rifles, scout rifles, and submachine guns, it'll be 40%. For hand cannons and sidearms, 20%. And for bows, 30%, and they're raising the base aerial effectiveness stat on several exotic weapons and perks. So I'll link the article down below with all of the changes that we can expect to see next week, and I'm sure that Bungie will give us more details in the TWAB and weekly updates and things like that. Up next though, a couple of quick mentions regarding cosmetic stuff in the game. And a few days back, Bungie announced the nerf Galahorn, which can be pre-ordered with a Galafoam exotic weapon ornament. Originally that was thought to be exclusively tied to the pre-order, but Bungie did update the store, and they've said that the ornament won't be exclusive to the nerf Galahorn and is going to be available for purchase separately at a later date. So that may be something you're interested to know. Also, players commented on some of the new ornaments that we got this season, which pair with specific pieces of gear. Someone on Reddit said, I just purchased the Cloak of Bacchus and the Beastly Visage ornament for silver, and they don't work together. So Cosmo replied, currently, the exotic-themed Universal Armor ornaments released in Season 17 have additional VFX elements only when worn with the base version of their corresponding exotic. However, starting with Season 18, Universal ornaments of this type will work with all ornaments for their partner exotic item as well, which will retroactively apply to all of Season 17's releases too. So better compatibility with those pairing ornaments moving forward, and also a confirmation that we are going to see more of them in the store as we go into Season 18 and beyond. Next though, a quick bit of interesting conversation related to the darkness, and a possible connection with future darkness subclasses, maybe even some lore teasers this season. And players have been discussing this, especially following the story conclusion that we had in the reset last week, but there's a lot of lore about Egregore this season. And in the Eidolon Ghost Shell, two characters are discussing things which Eris have said. And there's a quote, a certain hidden contact, Eris Morn, has informed me that the fungus is similar to a synapse within a nervous system. She claims it's a physical manifestation of the darkness, like stasis. But unlike stasis, it appears to be an impure manifestation. And so interestingly, a direct comparison between Egregore and stasis right there. And then separately, there was the voice message and conversations had between Eris and the Drifter. There was a voice message in the Helm where Eris said she wanted to go and meet with Drifter, as he has access to something that she wants to see. And in some other lore from the season, she asks him where he found Egregore, which of course we very first saw on the Drifter's ship at the launch of Forsaken. And Drifter says, sister, you don't want to know. An icy little nothing in the middle of nowhere, doesn't have a name, and you don't want to go there alone. And Eris asks, can he take her? And he says only if we take your jump ship and I drive. And after getting access to it, Eris reportedly burned Egregore at the Pyramid Ziggurat on Europa, and she stated that it resonated like a tuning fork. The vibrations themselves take shape within the smoke. And it says Eris is drawn somewhere distant and empty, and the smoke swirls with points of colour like stars, and echoes radiate from the black deep like graviton ripples through space. They wash distortion over the stars until breaking against 4 other points, 2 greater and 2 weaker, ghostly strands of incorporeal Egregore between them. And that's a kind of vision that Eris witnessed alongside the sounds that burning this Egregore made. And so it's definitely a potential thread right there for a future darkness-related subclass or element. It's definitely speculative at the moment, and otherwise the element Poison is one that players are kind of watching, with weapons like Thorn and Osteostriga, but also Necrotic Grips, all able to produce poison damage. So it'll be interesting to see whether Egregore has a link to that poison in the future, the same way that stasis had to be manifested for us to actually be able to use it, or whether poison is a totally separate thing. But again, there is potential that that's an element we could see. And Joe Blackburn had said in an interview leading up to Witch Queen that we knew when we wanted to add another damage type to Destiny, we needed to take more time. So we're not doing a new damage subtype for Witch Queen, we have one in development and you're going to see it eventually, but we really want to make sure we get it right. And so that was the direct confirmation that there is another damage type Bungie are working on fleshing out. And obviously they've been focusing on subclass 3.0 from Witch Queen. So naturally there becomes a question about whether Lightfall is an expansion where we could see that other element come into the game. So be sure to give us your thoughts down below. It's definitely possible that the lore this season is giving us some early hints and links to what could potentially become a future darkness subclass. So give us your thoughts below. On a side note though, as we mentioned briefly the other day, Bungie are hiring a new Destiny narrative director. And one of the interesting things for the description is that in this role, it says you will align narrative leadership around the future vision for the Destiny universe, firmly planting stakes in the ground for fans to enjoy for decades to come. And so the wider Destiny universe is absolutely something Bungie are thinking about in the very long term, which of course will expand beyond the current Light and Darkness saga that Bungie reference. Definitely a lot of interesting stuff to come potentially, and again, give us your thoughts below. The final little recap right here is for the Solstice event, and that is due to drop next week. So it seems quite possible that we'll get a reveal and some additional information about the event probably on Thursday this week. Where as far as we know, we should be seeing a new weapon in the form of a hand cannon. We can see it has a Solstice skin on it, but in terms of the model, it's very much like Better Devils. Josh Hunt from Destiny Sets had also shared a possible origin trait for this weapon, where once per reload, assists or assisted final blows partially refill the weapon from reserves, potentially overflowing the magazine. And so that could be interesting then. We'll see new armor sets, and as Bungie had said, one of the big changes we'll notice is a shift in the armor experience, and players will only upgrade one set of armor throughout the event, While you can get multiple instances of a helmet, for example, upgrading armor will allow you to reroll its stats, and the stat potential of the armor will be shared across those drops. So getting good armor from Solstice should be a bit easier this time around. And many of the objectives are going to be curated through the new challenge card system. And so event challenges will be housed inside of the challenge card, and these will drop shaders, emblems, or other gear associated with the event. And then Bungie have a new title to reveal, both for Solstice itself, but also a new multi-event seal. So we're going to see 2 new titles introduced into the game. Then for Solstice specifically, as always, a bunch of cosmetics, and I do have a video that has a breakdown of all of the currently known cosmetics for Solstice this year, as well as even the Eververse calendar and a better look at some of the gear. So I'll link that one down below, but be sure to stay tuned right here on the channel for the reveal of Solstice this week and some content when that drops. And otherwise for today, guys, that is what we have to break down in the video. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Dropping a rating down below really does help us out in the channel if you have. Plus, if you are new around here, definitely get subscribed, and I'll be sure to keep you posted with more Destiny content. But otherwise for today, I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll catch you all very soon.